I absolutely love baseball. Of the four major sports in North America, far and away my favorite. Okay, if I'm to rank them, okay, it would definitely be baseball, football, probably hockey, and then basketball. But three and four it's really, really, really close. But for years now, I've just been disenfranchised and just disillusioned with baseball and sports in general. I just think that it's a gigantic waste of time. Like, there's so many other things I can be doing in order to become an excellent individual instead of just watching excellent individuals accomplish stuff and, I don't know, by proxy or by empathetic means in order and feel like I'm a part of something. Like, it's just a gigantic waste of 3-4 hours of your time that you could better well spend, enriching your own life. But that's fine. If you want to engage in that stuff, whatever, man. But an illustrated guide to MLB's new rules, well, it's not so much illustrated as just puked out onto the page. And boy, I hate the new rules that they have out there. And there's so many of them. What it's doing, long story short, is making a sport that is ostensibly chess, trying to gamify it to a point where it's not even checkers. Hell, it's not even Connect 4. It's just some TikTok bastardized version of a game that really doesn't need it. Now, there are, of course, some changes that you can make. If you want to do pace of play, you could cut down the commercial breaks, but oh, no, we don't want to mess with any of the money. No, of course not. But when it comes to batters, like, I don't know, if you guys remember back in the day, there were a couple of guys that were incredibly terrible when it came to just delaying and just dragging out the pace of the game. The human rain delay, Nomar Garciaparra, you guys remember him, how after every single pitch, he'd step out of the batter's box, readjust all of his elbow guard, his wrist guard, his batting gloves, or on the pitcher side of things. I remember Clay Buchholz was pretty slow, but there were some guys who were so terrible. And if you wanted to really adjust the entire pitching sequence, if you wanted to speed it up at the plate, once the batter's inside the box, the entire pace of the at-bat should be dictated by the pitcher because, hey man, it's their game until you say otherwise. But of course, if they're taking a laps around the pitching mound, which never happens, but you just go at their pace and you just try to encourage something a little bit quicker from there. But what they're doing with the pitch clock and everything else, one of the most beautiful ballparks, and because I'm somebody, my favorite baseball team, I know, Canadian Big Shock, it's going to be the Toronto Blue Jays. That was something that I grew up and I watched all the time. Kids were watching cartoons and, just Hockey Night in Canada. I was watching Jays games. It's one of my first memories, and it's a team that I've watched be terrible, finish 4th or 5th in the most competitive division in all of baseball, all the way through to them making back-to-back ALC championships, and they apparently have a pretty good team this year or something like that. Might make some noise, but I ain't going to be watching because, well, first and foremost, what they did to probably their best position player ever, Roberto Alomar, last year, that was a bridge too far for me, so they can just go straight to hell on that one. He's the first guy to wear your cap in the Hall of Fame, and you take down his number from your Ring of Honor because some goofy bitch is trying to run the company's pockets and get paid out, and he ends up getting completely whitewashed from your history. Without him, you don't have that iconic moment in 1992 of him walking off and hitting a home run off of Dennis Eckersley against the Oakland A's, okay? You don't get back-to-back championships in 92 and 93 without Roberto Alomar. You don't have the revolution at second base when it comes to complete players without Roberto Alomar. In fact, they could just we got to turn our back on you because some unknown, unnamed allegations makes me sick to my stomach. Couple that with all the Trevor Bauer stuff. He's like, 3 courts that are out there. Yeah, no, he didn't do anything wrong. But then Rob Manfred comes forward. Oh, we need to believe our queens. And then he gets bounced. And he did sign in Japan, though. He's probably, beating the brakes off some Asian cats over there. It'll be good to see him when he comes back, if he ever does. Otherwise, fuck the MLB at this point in time. But what are all the new rules that they've done? Made the bags bigger, which why? That one I don't get. Okay, like I can understand from a safety perspective, but if we're worried about that, man, the game's been the same for hundreds of years at this point. Like, these are the big. These are arguably the biggest changes to the game, like in totality, since I don't know, either changing the ball or lowering the pitching mound. I think this might be more consequential than lowering the pitching mound. All things considered, especially that pitch clock. Managers are limited where they position infielders. Pitch clock will regulate time between action, which a historic trade-off intended to offer more batting than batting a glove adjustments. Yeah, it's so fucking stupid. It's all in service of doing something so fucking dumb that was never talked about before Manlet got in there. This is a machination of the media, of sports talk radio in specifics, because, what do we need to do about the pace of play of this baseball game? The people that watch baseball, the people that go to the games, I've been to a Major League Baseball game. It was Los Angeles Angels and the Texas Rangers in 2014 or something like that. So I've seen a whole host of the Hall of Famers and will be Hall of Famers. Yu Darvish, Prince Fielder. God, man, that's one of the most tragic stories in Major League Baseball in the 2010s. Breaks his neck right in his prime. Man, that shit sucks. Adrian Beltre. Who else was there? Oh, right, on the Angel side. Oh, yeah, only got to see Mike Trout and Albert Pujols. Like, it was pretty fantastic to see all those games. The game itself was absolute dog water because, God, what was it? It was unfortunately the day after Yu Darvish pitched, so it was whoever else was still on the roster for the Texas Rangers back in that time, and I think it was like the Angels' fourth pitcher. It was some Mexican or Central American cat who was just not that good. I think it ended up being like an 11-4 Angels victory. I was seeing my boy Alex Rios, used to play for the Jays for a long time. Pretty good player. I got to see him muff a easy play, but oh well, sucks to suck, I guess. But that game, oh my God, sitting out in the Texas heat right behind home plate. I was there for a good 3 or 4 hours. And, hey man, that's totally fine. You get to sit down there. You get to take in all the sights and sounds of the ballpark. It's a fun time. Nobody's concerned about the time. You know exactly what you get going down there. And this was the talking point that was never brought up before, because baseball fans know what they're signing up for. But no, we need to get the kids involved. You shut your fucking yap. They'll like it if they like it, and if they don't, that's fine, man. And if you want to make some changes, that's all right, man. I don't quite know what to think about this shift rule. It's interesting. If you're going to be playing a position, it should be relative to where that position is. So if you want to start moving people, and I also don't understand this. Okay, why is the shift such a problem? Okay, if somebody's going to be a dead pull hitter, I remember when the Tampa Bay Rays used to shift to David Ortiz, legendary. I think he's a Hall of Famer now, but yeah, legendary DH for the Red Sox. I seen him lay a bunt down the third base line because nobody was there. The closest guy, I think they put the third baseman between the first and second base gap. There was nobody there, so he could just like that. And if you do stuff like that, guys are going to get on base. Like, be a slap hitter, evolve, but no, we don't do that because I don't know what, singles don't sell sports cards. Like, is that the type of stupid shit? It's almost like you should have managers that know how to manage a game and know how to manage egos. Just saying, you could change that, but no, we want superstars by artificially inflating the offense. Oh my God. But thank God, because for all of the stupidity of the new rule changes, you see an article like this and you think, wow, it actually can't get dumber than this. Climate change now blamed for more home runs. Yeah, of course, because everything, like, leftist idiots only have two arguments. Everything is racist and everything is an ist or an obe, right? You're a transphobe, you're a racist, you're a homophobe, whatever the hell you want to approximate towards that. But if it doesn't fit into that specifically, then the root cause of the problem is climate change. More home runs blamed for climate change. Bro, I've heard this stupid argument as a baseball fan for a long time. Oh, if you play in Colorado, you're just naturally, the balls just go fly farther. Like, true, but a few inches. Like, back when ESPN used to be a sports station and not a social justice activist platform, they would do the sports science stuff and showed that, in Colorado, Arizona, the ball would travel farther. But hear me out on this one. You kind of have to be strong and talented, and 9 times out of 10, those big-ass ballparks in Colorado and in Arizona, you would have had to hit that motherfucker as hard as possible to begin with. So you're telling me if you serve up a watermelon, somebody's going to put it over the fence, which they're also bringing in a couple of very beautiful ballparks as well, like what they're doing at Camden Yards in Baltimore. That's probably the nicest place in Baltimore. In the name of higher offense, it's like it's like if somebody comes into the World Series of Poker and takes a look at Texas Hold'em and thinks that, nope, we're going to make this game better, or we're going to go ahead and we're going to take it to new heights. Everybody's going to be getting 4 cards on the draw. And the flop is going to be 8. It's going to be 8 cards because everybody likes to see a royal flush, and we need more royal flushes in this game. Get the fuck out of here. You don't know what you're doing. You don't actually like baseball. It's the exact same stuff that is happening with media right now. You bring in a bunch of morons who fundamentally despise the sport, despise the ideas, despise the stories that they're brought in order to create. So you end up with dumb shit that just pushes people out of the way. Hotter weather from climate change has played a role. Okay, cool. We're just already supposing this. In the surge of home runs in Major League Baseball, researchers claimed in a study published Friday. Okay, cool. So was the world hotter back in the late 90s when Sammy Sosa, Mark McGwire, Barry Bonds were fucking beating the brakes off of everything that looked even remotely spherical? Yeah, okay. But despite the onslaught of headlines, the effect was smaller and could have been chalked up to everything from stronger players to livelier baseballs. Yeah, I would say that as well. And a critic noted that minor league home runs were actually down in the same period. No, climate change affects different places. Cool. I already brought up Arizona and the fact that they, like to bring them up time and time again whenever it comes to this argument that baseballs fly farther the higher you're up. They're in a covered stadium, okay? And there used to be this old folktale back when the Astros used to play at the Astrodome. Whenever the opposing team would get up at the top of the inning to be on the offense, they would change the flow of the air conditioning to push it towards the field. I love shit like that in baseball. Just the goofy little nuances. But no. We just need some sanitized, safe, brought to you by Pepsi or Coke or Chevrolet, whatever the fucking sponsors are. I like stadiums and fields that are named after prominent figures in the community, not U.S. Cellular Field. Fucking Fenway Park, brought to you by Waste Management. Like, just get the fuck out of here. Players hit at least 500 more home runs between 2010 and 2019, or roughly 50 a year, because balls fly a greater distance in warmer air. Wow, they play in the summer. Thanks, Tips. A paper from Dartmouth College researchers argue. That's fantastic. 50 more home runs because the game doesn't change. Just think, like, who were the big players back in 2010 as opposed to more recently? They're far more athletic now. Like, okay, whenever you see a fat guy pitcher like Alek Manoah, the Toronto Blue Jays, I know I'm going to keep it local because fuck you, that's my team, even though it's not really my team anymore. But you get what I mean, okay? Like, he's criticized for being a big boy. But in 2010, wasn't there like Boof Bonzer? Who else was up there? Like Dontrell Willis wasn't a small cat. He might have been out of the league at that point in time. But Joel Zumaya, what's the shit? Carlos Zambrano. You don't see anybody with a body fat percentage north of 30% in baseball anymore. And that kind of sucks because you wouldn't have David Wells anymore. And that motherfucker is great. And he's super based. Anyways, but researchers also noted that there were a number of factors as to why players are knocking it out of the ballpark more often, with the biggest factor being the size of the ball and the stitches. Yeah, exactly. It's more aerodynamic, and these guys, they're just as juiced as ever. Like, if you don't think every single professional athlete isn't on some sort of performance-enhancing drug, you're out of your fucking mind. It might not be so obvious as sticking a needle in your arm, but these guys are popping more pills, more supplements, everything that's legal that they possibly can before they get on the mound, step in the batter's box, hit the field, hit the pitch. Regardless, these guys are juiced to the fucking gills. Like, bro, even back in the 20s, like, Babe Ruth was popping fucking greenies, and Ty Cobb was muttering something under his breath, and it sounded like he really had an affinity for Winnie the Pooh's favorite, or best friend, Tigger. Not entirely sure, but to try to say that there's more hits because of climate change is about the dumbest fucking thing that I've seen in an already stupid year of baseball. We say climate change has caused about 500 more home runs over the past 10 years. But that's only about 1% of home runs. Okay, geez. Well, what about those, screamers over the first base line? Did Ichiro get to 3,000 hits because of climate change as well? Still, all else being equal, warmer air is less dense and a batted ball will carry farther. Well, I'd also like to know, okay, what part of the season, okay, end of the year home runs, or when are a vast majority of the home runs hit? Between June, July, and August, or in May and April at the beginning of the year, or during the fall? Like, oh, okay. Could you blame Carlos Beltran's absolute tear for the, what was that, in 2006 at the Houston Astros? Did you blame that on climate change? No? Okay, cool. Places like Wrigley Field will see a lot more home runs in the future because it's open air and a lot of games are played in the daytime. Why has that never happened before? Oh, God, when was the last time that there was even somebody close to leading the National League in home runs that played for the Cubs? Derek Lee, maybe? Like, that was a long time ago. Like, I'm dating myself with all of these references. Like, even back, even when they won in 2016? Shit, was that when the Cubs won? I remember watching that series. Like, Chris Bryan probably hit 30. Rizzo was probably had the heaviest bat, but right, the air hadn't got as warm 6 years ago, right? By contrast, stadiums likely won't have to sweat it. Include indoor venues such as Miami's, place with that fucking abomination of a statue in center field, Houston's Minute Maid Park, and Phoenix's Chase Field. Researchers said, the other indoor stadiums, fuck, none of me. I could run it down, but I don't even fucking remember. Tropicana Field, but that place. If we're gonna close it out on any old anachronisms, God, I hate Tropicana Field, but I love it for the fact that, okay, it's a home run if you hit that rafter, you're out. If it hits that one, it's a double if it's there, and if you put it in the pool, hopefully you knock a bikini off one of those stupid bitches that's not paying attention to the game anyways, and she's just out there for the gram. So, baseball, keep changing and continue to make assholes out of yourselves. That's going to be Rob Manfred's enduring legacy. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.